Well, welcome everyone, and Mr. President and members of the council. It's my honor and privilege to be here to honor our latest Karl Neid Award winner. A little bittersweet. I'm doing a lot of bittersweet lasts of things. I've had the opportunity over the last 12 years to help present the Karl Neid Award, and then of course as a council member for 6 years, also participated in this process. And it's really been fun to see the variety of incredible public employees that have worked for the City of St. Paul and what they do, not just in their day job, but what they do all across their community to improve their community, to make it better, to invest in it, to give of themselves, of their time. They do it in so many different ways. They do it in their church communities. They do it in their youth athletic programs. They do it in reading to children. I mean, it's always just absolutely fascinating and wonderful. And this year's Karl Neid Award winner is no exception to the rule. And the fact of the matter is, our award winner has really done some amazing things in our community. She's been a leader, of course, in the city, working in our Parks and Recreation Department. And we're glad for her work there, but it's really her work in the community that inspires us and that I think takes her leadership level to one that needs to be recognized. Her involvement includes Frogtown Farms, Shop with Cops, fighting for causes at the state capitol, and of course working on political campaigns, which is always important for those of us around this table. But she's also been a real champion in the fight for equal justice for women, for people of color, for members of the LGBTQ community, and it's just she's a tireless advocate for that work. And I think that, as we all know, and I think everyone around this table is committed to, the work that we have to do around equity for everyone in this community, I think has to rise to the top of all of our lists as we go forward. And of course, she's been an active member in AFSCME 1842. I think about our great friend, Robin Madsen, who passed away this year. I think that Robin would be smiling down on you, Tabitha, for the work that you've done. Because one of the things that Robin was always good at, she was very good at supporting, but she never failed to, when necessary, to get elected officials back in line and tell them what they should be doing when they weren't working on the things that they were working on. And so I'm just honored and pleased to be with you all here today to present the 25th, is a significant one, 25th annual Karl Neid Award to our Parks and Recreation employee, Tabitha Mitchell. Tabitha, congratulations. Thank you.
And just to add a few words. I can't remember exactly where it was the first time I had a conversation with Tabitha, but I just remember thinking, is there going to be an end to this sentence? I couldn't quite tell. And I was also wanted to make sure that she was still breathing, but beyond that, I don't know if I've ever met a more fierce advocate for justice here in St. Paul, particularly on behalf of marginalized groups and communities. And we're so lucky to have you be a city employee and just to have you as a community member as well. So congratulations. I came up with a little list of descriptors, and I realized that everything started with an F, and for some reason. So I came up, I boiled it down to 3, and the 3 that I ended up with were fearless, frogtowner, and fighter. So hopefully that sums up at least part of Tabitha, but congratulations, and we're lucky to have you. Thank you so much, and come on up. And of course, Joanne Neid should be joining us as well. Joanne, welcome.
Your mom's not here?
What
She can have it on tape.
Well, Tabitha asked me to stall a little bit because there's an important person that hasn't arrived yet. So I will talk. No, I'll talk in my ordinary voice. I'm Joanne Neid, and I'd wonderful day to be here for the 25th recipient of the Karl Neid Community Involvement Award. And that's what part of this award is about, is the community involvement that the person who's the city employee does in our city. And the mayor listed those different areas. And today is St. Nicholas Day, so I know that Santa Carl would be very pleased that Tabitha is receiving this award. One of the activities that I noticed in the nomination that Tabitha does, she does babysitting for several people, and she takes those kids to the Minnesota Historical Society. What a wonderful experience for children to grow up with. And I'm here to celebrate with you, Tabitha, and so is Carl's sister, Trudy Kelly. The Neid family is just so pleased. And I'm peeking right here at the award, so I'm going to now just turn it over.
We have another speaker.
We have another speaker. Oh, good. So I get to say, I welcome to this podium the future mayor, who will be installed in January, Chris Carter.
Chris Carter.
That's all right.
Well, you know, the other Chris Carter on the Minnesota Vikings.
That's right. That's right.
I was thinking the Minnesota Vikings, of course.
I too was a standout football player for Jimmy Lee.
Very good. So please.
And by standout, I mean I stood out on the sidelines. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be in these chambers of so many that I've served alongside Council President Stark, Mayor Coleman. I appreciate that. I'm honored to be here. I'm here for a number of reasons, partially because Tabitha told me to be. And we all know that you don't get on Tabitha's bad side. No, I'm kidding. I'm here to honor a city employee who, like so many of other city employees, lives so far beyond the limits of her job description to make an impact on our city, to make an impact on young people in our city, to make an impact on communities who, low-income communities and communities of color. That's already been well rehearsed and established in the comments today. I first met Tabitha, I think 10 years ago when I was first running for city council in St. Paul, and we had this great conversation about the big ideals to which the city should be aspiring to, it should be pushing forward. And we also had a very specific conversation about the alley behind her parents' house. And that's what I think the city is about really both like building these big visions and these big ideals about who we should be and who we are as a community, and understanding that our locus of control for those big things is managing those small details that make a big difference in people's lives. And so, I think this is very well-deserved and well-placed honor to Tabitha as an exemplary city employee who does not only her job very well, but really thinks beyond those limits and really thinks about not just how do I perform this job, but how do I provide an invaluable service to this city. So congratulations to you and congratulations to all of us for this really important honor today. Thank you.
Since we're stretching, perhaps we could have council members that wanted to say a few remarks speak.
Excellent idea.
Excellent.
Ms. Prince.
Yes. I thought I was the one who would think up the comparison to Robin Madsen. But I am so thrilled that Tabitha is the choice for this year's award. She's a model of a courageous and caring employee, a great advocate for her union brothers and sisters, and uses the collective bargaining system as Robin Madsen did, to make the city work better for everybody, not just for employees, but to hold a really high standard to the delivery of city services. So for that, I'm very grateful. And also that in my experience of working with Tabitha this last couple of years, I feel like she cares about the kids that are served by Parks and Rec as if they were her own. So thank you and congratulations, Tabitha.
Mr. Tolbert.
Yeah, first of all, congratulations. Well deserved. I think Council President Stark summed it up pretty well when he talked about how fierce and tenacious you are and everything like that. I think that's 100% true. I think about a story, well, it was this summer. We were down at Sibley for Parks and Rec Day, the traveling Parks and Rec Day. And it was amazing to me because Tabitha kept telling me, you got to come down, this is going to be great, this is going to be great. And what amazed me is every kid in that place knew you by name, and she knew them by name. And that says something about your commitment and what the relationships that you form. And we saw that with the young, mostly immigrant kids down at Sibley. We see it with the youth groups that you used to organize, or the LGBTQ groups that you organize at Langford or at other places. And it, kind of in summation, you make sure that every kid knows, regardless of where they are, that they matter to the city of St. Paul, that they matter to somebody, that they matter to all of us. And that's important because probably in 30 years from now, those kids will remember that. And they'll remember you, and they'll give that to other kids. And that's why I think you're so deserving of this. You're an inspiration to city workers, so thank you. Congratulations.
Mr. Tao.
Thank you. You know, my first meeting with her was, she is fierce, very passionate. Her story is incredible, from humble beginning to being a city employee, city leader, and that has also helped her not forget where she came from, and that's why she fights so hard for her coworkers and young people in our community. So well-deserved. Thank you so much. This means we expect a lot more out of you. Beyond the limit, right? And so we appreciate you, being that you're from Ward 1, you are also my boss. So congratulations. Thank you.
We're breathlessly anticipating one more guest. We might have to keep going. Well, why don't we have Tabitha come up, and if she wants, say a few words, but only if she really wants to. I'm just kidding. She's right up.
It'd be weird if I didn't.
Absolutely.
All right, so I'm a little sad because my family got a little confused, but 3:30 is a hard time for working people, but that's okay. So first I want to thank everybody who is here. That's my tons of AFSCME comrades over there. That is Council, Mrs. Neid, every single city employee that does behind the scenes work, right? Because this day, someone had to order the cake. Someone has to do all the behind the scene work. And I want to thank those folks. So it's great. I'm a Frogtowner, I'm a trade unionist, and this is really an honor. But broader than that, like, I'm a working class person. And when we think of the working class, these are the people who make every single good and therefore create all wealth. These are the folks who provide every single service, public or private. These are my AFSCME coworkers. These are the folks who provide safety to our city, whether that is DSI, who plow the streets today, and safe drinking water. And these are the people who raise our children, whether that's in schools, recs, libraries, Sprockets after school programs. These are the folks that do the work, and these folks need a voice so that we can hold ourselves and others accountable. And we can talk all day about what the labor movement used to be. And I can quote strikes from 17 for the Iron Range and when they murdered Teamsters in 34, or we could talk about what's happening right now. M&A had the nurses on strike for weeks, and those folks were fighting for safe working conditions. The strike is back. Working people are going to prevail. And if they were here right now, they'd hear me say this, right? Like, my dad is a Teamster truck driver. He delivers other people's goods. My mom was cleaning hotel rooms as a unionized hotel worker, and then doing the unpaid labor that so many women do of raising family. And then my brother, like so many working class kids, joined the Marine Corps. He just got back home safe from deployment all winter and spring. And then on top of that, if you can pay to live off of 40 hours a week, then you're providing all these other services. And I also was going to talk about Robin Madsen. Robin taught me so many things, but what it meant to be a woman in the labor movement, which is different than being a man in the labor movement. And she taught me that if you are going to be as outspoken as you are, people are going to not like you. This is Minnesota. This is passive aggressive. This is you better be polite. You don't interrupt. And Robin had a lot of different lessons. And the one that was, you shouldn't forget, is when the same rec leaders that, just gonna acknowledge I talk with my hands, we all know that, the same rec leaders that fought to get part-time workers into the 1842 contract were some of the same that raised me at Sheffer Rec Center, me and a whole neighborhood of Frogtowners. And I don't care what anyone says. The only justice is due process rights, because we cannot fight for the youth and our community members without due process rights. The punishment has to fit the crime, and I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for those. And the second point I want to make is applauding the Coleman administration for having us go to racial equity training and teaching us how to be interrupters, which again is not really a part of Minnesota culture. Easy for me, I'm a Frogtowner, been interrupted my whole life. But I started when I was 16, I'm 33. When bigots and bullies and bad bosses have a problem with my interrupting, that says more about them than it does about me. Because it's a badge of honor when those folks have an issue with the people who stand up against discrimination. And then my last point is, working people are going to win this. We're going to prevail. And there's a lot of sadness in our country, nationally, with politics right now. There's a lot of hopelessness. This tax bill. But this is the time. So Americans, we didn't do a lot. We kind of sat around since civil rights, reaping the benefits of the 90s. And those times are over. Act 10 in 2011, public employees took to the streets. And they said, we are going to protest in ways we haven't seen. When Governor Walker did strip collective bargaining rights away. And think what's happened since Act 10 in our country. Highways are being shut down. People are calling out sexual harassers. We're actually talking about the causes of poverty and oppression, not just the symptoms. No more Band-Aid programs that deal with symptoms of poverty and social issues that come out of poverty, but actually getting to the root of what capitalism does as an oppressive system. And we have all these folks interrupting, calling out harassers. The strike is back. Workers are taking to the streets. People are interrupting meetings just like this, which makes it difficult for y'all. But there's a lot of interrupting going on. And we're going to continue to fight. We're going to continue to prevail. And working people are going to win this. So every single person who embodies the spirit of Karl Neid, every single interrupter that's coming out of those racial equity trainings, and every single mouthy woman who people don't like her tone and her politics is going to stand up. And workers are going to win this, no matter who our elected officials are in this country right now. So again, thank you for letting me not breathe during sentences and for giving me this award. Thank you so much.